Hey guys, welcome back to more political chatter. In this video, we will be talking about the 2028 presidential election. I believe my first or second video ever about the 2028 election. We're talking so much about 2024, and it is important to analyze and see where it puts us for the 2028 election and really get a sense of the presidential field that we can have in 2028 and, who could come out as party nominees and be our next president because 2028 will be a chaotic year to say the least. Joe Biden is obviously running again. He's even if he loses this time, he's obviously not running again in 2028. He would be, end his term in his 90s. And Trump, he if he wins again, then he's term limited. Same with Biden, but I mean, we can expect him to retire. I think, I hope at least. If he loses in 2024, how old would he be? He'd be into his 80s. I think he also finishes his in 2032 in his 90s. Basically 90. So Trump and Biden won't be candidates in 2028. I can say that with 99.8% certainty. So that means that we have very interesting and chaotic fields in both parties heading into 2024. It's very uncommon for both parties to not have an incumbent, not really have anyone to take that throne. And obviously, 2024 affects this all. And 2024 is still very up in the air. Both Biden and Trump could win. Because looking at 2028, if Biden is reelected, Kamala Harris might be seen as the standard bearer for this party, as the presumptive, not presumptive, obviously, but in a sense, the presumptive nominee. While Donald Trump, if he wins in 2024, whoever he picks as his running mate, probably Kristi Noem at this point, and that's who I'm guessing, they would be these, almost like the presumptive nominee, even less the presumptive nominee than Harris, but they would be seen as the natural heir of the nomination. But I saw something about regarding 2028. It was some post or something, and it said for both parties, or it was talking about the Democratic primary. It said either we have like 2 or 3 major candidates or 20. And that is regarding Kamala Harris. I mean, the situation with this Democratic Party or this Democratic primary in 2028 is Kamala Harris could run and she wins the nomination and, only 2 or 3 Democrats challenge her. Or we have, a few challenge her very early on, and we have, 20 Democrats eventually in the race for this nomination, and it's total chaos, and no one cares about, not challenging Harris because it might demolish their political future or whatever. They're too scared to, because they believe they're scared that the Democratic Party will reject them and their political careers, their political future is over. But whatever. So many what ifs. But this article it's from Politico. I recommend you read it at least a little bit. It's very interesting. Nice cover photo too. This is great. But I mean, this picture really is important because it does give us very nice vibe or feel of what these 2028 candidates could look like. Right in the middle, we have Kamala Harris. She might be the nominee in 2024. Even if Biden does lose in 2024, she might be still a serious major candidate. If Biden loses in 2024, I don't see her having any path to victory in 28. I think that she will be long gone. But if they're reelected, she really might be the one. And then as for still sticking with this Democratic primary here, then we have governors like Gretchen Whitmer, J.B. Pritzker, Wes Moore, um, Josh Shapiro, Roy Moore. Didn't even know they were on here. Um, they are all governors, 5 governors who have had impressive performances in the past. I mean, just looking at 2022, people were astounded by Gretchen Whitmer's 11-point victory in Michigan. Biden only won there by 3.5. I mean, Wes Moore, solidly blue state. His performance doesn't matter, but he got a lot of attention. Very likable guy. Lots of people like what he says. I mean, this race should have been a landslide, but it doesn't really matter because it's still safe Democrat. But there are these various Democratic governors getting involved with the Biden reelection campaign. Really, really kissing up to the Democratic establishment and Biden, the DNC, really looking like they're propping themselves up to be a potential candidate come 2028. So there are quite a few Democrats who are clearly doing that. Oh, I forgot the main one, Gavin Newsom. So in 2028, we could see some sort of Harris versus Newsom versus Whitmer versus Pritzker, just because I think that Pritzker really wants it. But I could see those 4 battling it out for the nomination. I mean, with Newsom is a key figure in the Biden reelection campaign. He is doing that. He was debating Ron DeSantis for really no reason, and whatever he said, he says he's not interested this time around. But there's so much encouragement from the Democratic Party for him to run in 2024. There's still so many Democrats who don't want Biden to be the nominee because he's too old. They're looking for Gavin Newsom. So if it's not this year, it's probably the next cycle. I mean, Gavin Newsom will definitely be a presidential contender at some point. So we've got Democratic governors, we've got the vice president, but one more person in the cabinet is Pete Buttigieg. So he was a candidate in 2020. Obviously, that's how he got most of his, or that's how, that's where his recognition comes from. That's why he's the transportation secretary. But he might throw his hat in the ring if it is a, many candidate race. If it's just a very small crowd between, or very small field, I should say, between like Harris, Newsom, Whitmer, and Pritzker, as I noted earlier, Buttigieg probably doesn't get in because so much of his support just comes from the Harris camp, whatever. They're both very Democratic establishment candidates. But if it is like a 20 candidate field, as I was talking about before, where we have, representatives, governors, everyone running, then he might get in. Then there's some little path to victory for him. But he could be a surprise entry come 2028. And there are many, many others. But really, Whitmer, Newsom, Harris, Buttigieg, said that a little weird, Pritzker, maybe Wes Moore. Those are the ones that we need to keep our eye on. Andy Beshear, I forgot to mention too. He's a Democratic governor from Kentucky. But those are the ones that have really a shot at being the Democratic nominee in 2028. And it really does depend whether or not Biden wins in 24. Because if so, then Harris is really, really, really propped up to be the nominee. I think that she would become the nominee. But if not, I don't think she would even run come 28. And then we probably see Newsom win the nomination. But as for the Republicans, I think that it could look very similar to this 2024 field. I think that we could see many of the same candidates. Looking at people like Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, 3 younger candidates, not very old, who have found, not really DeSantis, but who have found some, or Vivek for that matter, but have found some level of support in this 2024 Republican primary. They have found enough support where, they're now much more well known. Maybe for people like Vivek and Haley and DeSantis, maybe all three of them, they're just running for 2028. I think that is a serious possibility because, they get their name out there this time around, and then come 2028, they are ready to run a more serious campaign where they actually want to become president of the United States. So, I think that we definitely see DeSantis, Haley. I mean, I shouldn't say definitely, but Vivek Ramaswamy definitely, and almost definitely Ron DeSantis, and probably Nikki Haley, because as we've seen poll after poll, the Trump supporters' number 2 pick is always consistently Ron DeSantis by wide margins. So it's not like his political career is over. He still has some hope. So we could see a lot of these similar candidates in 2024 to 2028. Tim Scott is another. Will Hurd, very young, he might run. And Francis Suarez, by 2028, he's probably a congressman. I shouldn't say probably. Probably not. But he might be a congressman. Well, whatever. We don't even care about Francis Suarez. So we could see, some similarities there, but also some newcomers that decided to sit out this election cycle because of Donald Trump. There are the 2028 primary. I think that Trump will have so much influence still. And I think that there would be so many. I mean, the only very pro-Trump candidate that ran this year was Vivek Ramaswamy. Perry Johnson too, but he doesn't count. But Vivek Ramaswamy. Come 2028, when Trump isn't in the race, there will be so many just diehard Trump fans that have, devoted their entire political career to Trump, in Congress, as a governor or whatever, and they will just be begging for that endorsement, and there will be so many. Matt Gaetz is pictured here. He is definitely one of them. Josh Hawley, younger figure, very popular. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she's found a lot of success as governor of Arkansas. Byron Donalds, charismatic, young, very young. Congressman from Florida. J.D. Vance, Ohio Senator. Katie Britt. There are a lot who have endorsed Trump very quickly this year, who definitely have their eye on 2028. So 2028 still, Trump might still be entirely, completely relevant. And 2028 Republican primary field really could be just a how pro-Trump can you be contest. It might just be absolutely filled with pro-Trump candidates trying to get that endorsement. Because, obviously they're going to sit out this cycle because Trump is running. But in 2024, they will run. And, they're being nice to him now this cycle, obviously, and they want that endorsement come 24. Now, there's the Kristi Noem factor, who isn't even listed in this article, but I believe will run and have a great impact on the cycle, even if she isn't Trump's vice president. But I am really more certain than most people that Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, will end up as Trump's running mate in 2024. I mean, she is just perfect. She is a woman, younger, 2 things that Trump absolutely needs. She will absolutely appeal as a vice presidential nominee to suburban moms in critical swing states where they make all the difference. Pennsylvania, most notably, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. But she has a strong record, very likable, and she would be the perfect pick for Trump in 24. So I really do think that she ends up as the VP nominee, and come 2028, she will obviously, especially if they win the election, but even if they don't win in 24, I still think that she runs in 28. She could easily get that Trump endorsement, and she would be a formidable candidate, especially in the general election. If she's paired against someone like Harris, she would destroy any I really think that she would win, not necessarily destroy any of them, but win by a wide margin against the vast majority of Democrats. So she does have that electability factor, and I think that polls would show that. So, overall, 28 Democratic primary, we will likely see a Harris, Newsom, Whitmer, Pritzker contest. Republican primary, we're probably looking at a Noem, Haley, Vivek, DeSantis contest. Those are probably the main four. And then the general election, I don't know, whatever. I'd say at this point, if I had to guess the two nominees in 2028, the general election matchup, I think it would be Kamala Harris, or do I? Because I don't think Biden wins. I would put it as Newsom. Gavin Newsom wins the Democratic nomination, and Kristi Noem wins the Republican nomination. And I think that independents will continue to thrive, or at least third-party candidates. As you know, in 2024, they're doing better than they have in polling since Teddy Roosevelt in 1912. They're starting to get on the ballots too, Kennedy and Cornel West. But in 2028, we could see, I think, a serious independent or third party. More serious than Kennedy and West. I mean, Kennedy and West, as good as they're doing, they're not going to win. In 24, we might see someone at like a Ross Perot level, like during the summer, if you know what I mean. When he was polling like ahead of Bush and Clinton nationwide. So, yeah, those are just my thoughts for 2024. Interesting stuff. But thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm excited for 2028, and I'll see you all later.